Hello, this is Lloyd Swartz coming to you from My Auction Addiction Estate Sales in Albuquerque, New Mexico, with another addictive My Auction Addiction informational video. We hope it will help you if you have a situation right now where you're working toward dealing with an estate, or maybe now in a situation where a loved one is going to need caregiver services in your life right now. This video is entitled Caregiver Nightmares. I haven't done a video in a while. Why am I doing this video? Well, because we've come across some caregiver nightmares, and we really do care. We don't like to see families and seniors being taken advantage of, and we do think there are some big problems in the caregiving arena. And so we're going to talk about those problems. So this is purely a video for those sorts of folks, not for the buying community, as we sometimes do. So what's a caregiver? A caregiver is someone that steps in when a senior starts to have physical, mental, memory issues, whatever it may be, but maybe they would prefer to live in their home, and physically, for the most part, they can. They just need a little help. They're not ready to transition to a retirement community or into some sort of long-term care, what have you. Caregiver can step in, help with housework, help with grocery shopping, taking care of them, and physically giving them showers, and just about anything you can think of on any kind of spectrum here, and possibly even save money over going into a facility for this senior. So it's a very important role. It's something that's growing because we're in a situation where we have an aging population, guys. One reason we're in estate sales because we know we're going to have job security for a long time to come. Part of that is seniors needing caregiver services out there, all right? So this is a very important role that folks out there are fulfilling. However, it's leading to a growing set of problems. Now, we're going to split this into two categories because they're very different. We're going to talk about caregivers that are family members stepping in to that role. And we're on the other side, we're going to talk about paid caregivers, where it's an individual, or maybe you hire a referral company that brings someone in to take care of these services. So let's talk about the paid caregiver and those issues first. 3 caveats to this conversation we're about to have. Number 1, this is not an indictment to all caregivers, all right? There are a lot of good caregivers out there that care about their clients passionately and would do anything for them and are not getting paid a lot of money to do it. So don't think that we're trying to accuse every caregiver of theft. That's really or doing things wrong or not taking care of their person. That is not correct. However, in full disclosure here, and again, to be transparent, we've seen problems with a majority of clients we've dealt with that have had professional caregivers. A majority. I can't hide it. I can't change that. I can't change that statistic. So that's important to know too. Second caveat, and this is something we see. Many caregivers are accused of theft that never stole a thing. So if you're someone that's hiring a caregiver or concerned about a caregiver, let's talk about situations maybe where you need to take things with a grain of salt. For example, your loved one has become very forgetful. They've got dementia, Alzheimer's, maybe they're just general aging issues. And they forget where they put their money or where they hid their money. Or they forget that, by golly, 15 years ago, her husband died and they took the guns down to a gun shop and traded them in. Or maybe she needed some money and she cashed in the coin collection at a coin dealer at some point. These things incredibly get forgotten as we get older. Sometimes our memory becomes so short-term or so specific that we forget things like this. So the accusations naturally begin to fly. Who else is in the house? This caregiver. And so I want to be very, very cautious about this because it's really unfair to a lot of caregivers that do get accused but have done nothing wrong. So let's set that caveat out there right away. Third caveat is, and this is sort of the negative one, is caregivers make very little money. They're generally paid minimum wage or a bit higher. And as we know, that leads to problems. Okay, that's the caveat set. Let's talk, just give you a few stories about some of the things that we're seeing in our world, and then let's talk about some possible solutions. This video comes out from a situation where we've seen a project where hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially have been taken from the estate. You heard me correct. So if you want to know, or kind of, is it just a few thousand in jewelry or cash potentially? Normally, yes. In this case, we're talking about $300,000 potentially. That is incredible. How did they do it? They did it by stealing stuff traditionally, probably while they were taking care of the person. They did it by convincing someone as they were aging that they should be given a bunch of stuff. And there were some documents created that were probably fraudulent. Now, I want to be clear, there's a fly flying around, even though it's fall and we've seen no flies for months or weeks. It's flying right for the camera. My apologies for that. Are you kidding me? I've been sitting here all morning, no fly. Now there's a fly just flying right in loops right for the camera. My apologies for that. You can't, when you do these videos like this on the fly, you just can't do much about that. But I also want to be clear here. We are not using anybody's name, any job names. We are not referring to any specific job because we don't want to interfere with any legal proceedings potentially. And we also, this is not about indicting any one particular situation. This is just about examples. So we don't want anybody to have a clue as to where we're talking about, what job or what people. The innocent and the uninnocent we will remain unnamed at this point. So there's an upper limit. What do we commonly say? Caregivers walk up and say, you know what? He promised me that car. What's our answer? Is it in the will? What does the executor say? The executor hired us, not you. Or commonly, he promised me all these diverse, crazy things. Some may have value, some don't even really have much value, but regardless, some of it may make sense, some of it may not make sense. We have to go by what the executor says, who should be going by what is in the will. Okay? And we have people convinced that they're owed a house, a car, most of the stuff within the home. You can just about name it, what caregivers come to us and believe they're owed. And 99.9% of the time, it's not in the will. It's generally not. Now, so I think what we're really talking about here is a situation where it's what I would call it an unjust enrichment. Where it's if I'm getting care and this lady, bless her heart, is doing it for very little money, and I would die and I want to leave her a few $1,000s or an old car, I get that, right? That's fair. We had someone leave their neighbor thousands of dollars in toy trains. And it turned out I went over to their house to check it out, and they were nuts about toy trains. So it was perfect. And they really did take good care of their father in his later years, just being a neighbor. So I'm not saying that can't occur. But what we're talking about is unexpected and unreasonable amounts. Or things that have just simply been stolen. In one case, I'm going through a coin collection. I'm dumping out coins here. And I find these things that are like plastic discs that have been stapled together to look like coins. Yeah. Again, no proof as to what happened there. But I think we can all kind of infer that something along the way here went very awry. Okay? And we see a lot of it. We see a lot of things we can't prove. But we have our suspicions, okay? So really what we're talking about is any unjust or unlawful enrichment of someone that is being there, being paid to take care of this loved one. They're not owed anything other than their salary. If that loved one chooses to give them something for helping them, that's fine. But what point does it reach a point where it doesn't make any sense? Why would we leave things for this person that they can't use? They're not a gun person. They don't like guns. For some reason, they got the whole gun collection. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Why would somebody leave them a bunch of new cars? Why would they leave them a bunch of new tractors? Why would they leave them an ATV? Why would they leave them why would they give them a portfolio of stocks and bonds? I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So that's what we're really talking about. And many times there is another scenario, and this will cross over into your family member one, but they've had a gravy train for a while. They've been making a regular salary, a regular cut. They've got comfortable. Maybe they're living in a home with the person they're taking care of. That's coming to an end because they passed away. Now it's kind of like, oh no, what am I going to do for a job? Where am I going to go from here? And so I think sometimes that drives that desire to take possession of things that aren't theirs, or at least make the suggestion that these things are not yours. And for a family or an executor, this can be a very frustrating process that may just be emotionally draining or may involve hiring lawyers, which is a real bummer. So let's talk about some solutions and things that we can do about this. And first thing I want to say is be involved in your loved one's life. If you're going to hire a professional caretaker as a family, or caregiver, I should say, I always mix those up, caregiver, then check on them periodically, every few months, every 6 months, every some period of time, maybe every month. Make sure that someone is checking on, ask them questions. How do you feel? How are you being treated? How are you being taken care of? Look for warning signs. You know, if they're grumbling, they may say, that caregiver stole all my money. Well, that may be not true because their memory is bad and they misplaced their money. But listen to what they're saying. See if there's some warning signs that something may be going on. Make sure there's a will. Ask your loved one questions. Is your will in place? Ask them, where are your car titles? Where are your life insurance policies? Where are all these things if they're becoming increasingly debilitated or unhealthy? Look around the house. What does the house look like? I had a caretaker say, I took great care of this person. And this has happened many times. And there was several feet of mouse poop in the house. Now, I'm like, okay. And there were crack pipes everywhere. Oh, okay. I don't think you were taking good care of this person. You as a family member had gone into that home. You would have seen that and you would say, whoa, we've got a problem here. This caregiver is not doing their job. And what else is going wrong if they're not doing it? In this case, the jewelry boxes, when I went back to look for the client, were empty. So there were warning signs along the way. If your loved one is becoming irrational, very forgetful, getting to the point where maybe they're not making a lot of good decisions, you may need to consider something like a power of attorney. It's tough. All these things are tough as we age. To have my son down the road come and say, Dad, you're crazy. I need a power of attorney so you don't do some really bad things. But we have to protect the assets for the individual until they pass away. They may need those assets to pay medical bills, pay for care, etc. And honestly, I would say beyond that, to be selfish, I want to protect the assets as a family member for me. I mean, I don't want some stranger coming in and stealing or grab bagging the equity in our family's estate. It should be split among the heirs. So there's also that, kind of a selfish reason there too. But then I go to the loved one. Would the loved one, in the end, want all his money stolen or taken away by some tricky person? Or would they rather see their heirs take that resources out of the house, the goods inside the house, the cars, investments, whatever, and use that for their own lives, their own children, their own grandchildren. And I think in most cases, that's going to be the preferred choice. So becoming involved. Also, documenting the assets that are there. Let's understand what's there, and let's understand a lot of the theft is going to revolve around easy to pickpocket things. What can I pickpocket? What holds value? Guess what, guys? China and crystal, no value. Beat up old 60s furniture, no value. Coin collections, don't lose a penny of value. Guns, don't lose a penny of value. Jewelry, pretty high resale value. And those things are small. Easy to package up, out of sight. Mom hasn't looked at her Native American jewelry, her gold jewelry in years. Pocket it up, take it down to the pawn shop, get some cash. So knowing that there are specific, obvious targets, let's focus on those. Mom, you only wear 2 pieces of jewelry. Can we sell the rest? You don't need the coin collection anymore. Can we sell? Or can we take it and put it in a safety deposit box at a bank? Or if some of these things that may have value, maybe there's some collectibles, maybe there's some bigger, and maybe there's some oil paintings on the wall that are worth significant amounts of money. We've seen that. We've seen $20,000 oil paintings disappear. Maybe what we need to then do is photograph, document them, possibly insure them, and keep a record of those items somewhere and when they were documented. Maybe we need to get a safe, put a safe in the home that only has certain access to. Some very common sense things that may avoid a lot of heartache and anger down the road. All right, so that's it on paid caregivers, cautionary tale, plus some potential solutions to avoid this sort of problem. Now let's talk about the other flip side of the coin, and that is the family caregiver. Very big difference. So what does this mean? This means that, for example, someone's daughter says, look, I will sacrifice my life for my elder because I love them. Now that sounds very dramatic, but let's put this into perspective. Alzheimer's Association has mentioned that the majority of caregivers in this role will pass away before the person they're taken care of. Wow. Big, big deal, right? Why is that? The stress, the lack of money, the lack of future, the unhealthy, many times they get used to, well, I'll wake up with the person at 10, they go to bed at 6, they don't get exercise, they don't get out anymore, they don't have friends, they don't go to the hospital to get something looked at that's bugging them. It's big time. They are then saying, this person may live 10, 15 years and need a caregiver. So they're saying, I'm going to shut my life down, shut out my kids. I'm not going to travel. I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to enjoy hobbies. I'm not going to have a career. I'm going to quit earning money. I'm 35. I'm 45. I'm 50. Prime earning years of my life. I should be making 6-figure incomes right now. But instead, I'm going to live off of disability payments to take, and Social Security or whatever, to take care of mom. Now, the caveat, just like I gave you a caveat on the professional caregiver, to sacrifice your life for the person that you love, boyfriend, mate, partner, father, mother, is spectacular. I mean, it is admirable. It is a beautiful thing. However, it's not appropriate in many situations, and it may not be appropriate for you. You have to make sure that you're justified in that you can justify this loss in financial and possibly health future for this project. And make sure your loved one is good about it. Are they good with the fact that you're going to move in with them and give up 10 to 15 years of your life? I heard it put one way by someone at networking event I was at. They finally put their mom in a facility. And she said, I was not a daughter. During the 5 years, I took care of her and sacrificed my life. I was no longer a mother to my children because I had no time. I couldn't leave the home because she might walk out the door and get hit by a car. I couldn't do anything. I had no money. And yet I'm sitting there showering my mother, changing her clothes, feeding her. That's not a daughter. And I'm not a mother to my child. Once I moved her to a facility that could take good care of her, I became a daughter again. I could come over, visit, have mother-daughter activities. I don't know. It was an inspiring story to me. It brought a tear to my eye. I'm telling you, I can't tell this story, but yeah. So keep that in mind. So what does this mean? The loved one's now passed away. What happens? Well, the caregiver now is living in a home, been living off disability for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, has no job, has no career skills, has no way of making a living. And I'm going to be honest, this is going to sound bad, but it's become lazy. They're used to the free ride. They're used to the fact that all they got to do is clean house and take care of the loved one. Now, I already told you it was tough to do, and that's true. But it's not the same as working 8, 10, 12 hours a day for business or and earning a real living. It really is different. To get back to used to have to get up at 8 or 7 a.m. to get ready to go to work, it's a whole other ballgame. And now what? Well, the family steps in and says, well, let's sell all the assets. Let's sell the home. The home's the most valuable thing. Of course, we're going to sell things in it for the estate sale of my auction addiction, of course. But then the home. So many times, this person has nowhere to go. They're going to get a split of the home because they're an heir. But maybe that's only 20 or 40 or 50,000. What are they going to do with that? You can't live. That's a year's pay at the most. Or less. And so they're put in a very particular situation. Many times they will stay in the home. Sometimes the family has to force them out. And boy, that just becomes really, really ugly. So if someone's going to caregive for a loved one and they're willing to make these sacrifices, we've got to make sure the health sacrifices, the financial future sacrifices, the whole family should get involved and have a discussion about this, as well as a discussion about what is going to happen at the end game. What is the end game? How will she move out? Where will they go to live? How will they get a job? How will they be able to feed themselves when the end game comes? I had an employee that worked for me, and I got to tell you, I believe she's basically said she would not do it again. There was a 60-minute special, and if you guys ever want to, really interested in this, follow up on this. This gentleman, wife got Alzheimer's, and so 60 Minutes followed him for 10 years and interviewed him once a year for 10. The first year it was like, well, she forgot where she set her pin. Who cares, right? I'll take care of her. She forgets where she puts her pin. Of course I'll take care of my wife. Okay. By year 5, he was contemplating suicide. That's how emotionally draining it was. Year 6 or 7, I can't remember, she ended up moving into a facility. And the last was right as she died. They interviewed one last time at 10 years. So have a family discussion about these. Have plans to deal with these types of situations at the end and what's going to happen to this person that has sacrificed so much for taking care of the loved one, and avoid problems at the end, probate, delays in selling the home, just general people that are angry. Or again, this person that took care may say, the house is owed to me. You're like, well, wait a minute. It's a $500,000 house that's paid off. I think the heirs are going to want to split that money. Okay. And no, the $50,000 oil painting, you can't have that. Everybody's going to want to split the baby, and the most fair way for estates is to split the baby. However, this person's going to feel a bit entitled potentially. So really, just kind of heading some of this off ahead of time, I think, will make for a more peaceful. You don't want to be fighting at the funeral. You don't want to be in probate court at the end. So let's think about these sorts of things and how maybe as a family we can talk this through, avoid it, or maybe decide this is not the right decision. Maybe we need to have a professional. Maybe this person really belongs in a long-term care facility instead. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, I know it was a really long video, and I sort of apologize for that, but I think sometimes when I get a little long-winded, I think maybe the subject matter is important, and I really do hope that this helps your family. I mean, we're here to assist in your families, your loved ones, estate sale, moving sale, downsizing sale needs. That's all we're here to do. But we also care about what we do, and we care about the families we help. And that's why we do videos like this. So have a wonderful day. And if we can be of assistance, even if it's just your loved ones getting ready to move in to a senior facility, let us know. We'll be certainly glad to come out and consult and see how we can ease that process. Also, if you would like our videos, subscribe to our channel if you want to see more of this kind of thing. I know it's kind of an unusual thing. And if you have any comments, feel free to comment down below. It's open to comment. If you have some thoughts on this issue that might help others dealing with this, then put them down there so other people see those comments when they come to this page. Have a wonderful day, and we hope that your family will find peace and find a way to transition your loved one through their life as they age.